Good morning, everyone. So take this off for a minute. Thank you all for being here this morning. It's my honor, my pleasure to introduce our state chairman, Nick Langworthy, as he is here in Rochester for a very important issue. It's something close to us. It is something that affects us in every home in this area. We are so proud as the Republican Party here in Monroe County to have such a great leader, that he is here at the drop of a hat to say when something needs to be taken care of, when something needs to be mentioned, when something needs to be done, he will be here for our community. We are so thankful to have him. My name is Mike Berry. I'm the Executive Director of the County Republican Committee. I'm here on behalf of our Chairman, Bernie Iacovangelo, and he wanted me to extend a welcome not just to you folks, but to our great state chairman, Mr. Nick Langworthy. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you so much, and always enjoy my time here in Rochester. Good morning. Andrew Cuomo has reached a new and despicable low, which is really saying something after all we've seen. News reports broke yesterday from the New York Times and the Washington Post that the person in charge of distributing vaccines for New York State government, Mr. Larry Schwartz, a longtime trusted aide to Andrew Cuomo, has been calling county executives around the state of New York to gauge if they remain loyal to Andrew Cuomo. The takeaway from one unnamed county executive was that they were afraid that their vaccine supply for their county would suffer if they didn't stand up and stand with Governor Cuomo despite 3 large, dark scandals that hang over his administration. One unnamed county executive that happens to be a registered Democrat actually filed a complaint with the AG's Public Integrity Unit. This is an illegal, corrupt quid pro quo. It's downright disgusting that once again, New Yorkers' lives have been put at risk to protect this governor's political power. We can't be surprised though. This is the way Andrew Cuomo and his empire function. His former top aide, Joe Percoco, very famously summed up their motto: get along or get killed. You're either helping them achieve their goals or you're going to pay the price. The number one goal at all times is to protect Andrew Cuomo's power at all costs. And there's been no more grotesque example of that with a deadly nursing home cover-up that cost over 15,000 New York seniors their very lives. And most Democrats around New York, including County Executive Bello, sat silent for months when it was apparent to anyone paying attention that he was hiding the nursing home deaths. It took political courage to speak out against the governor when he was a national media darling. Too many were silent. That silence allowed him to continue operating unchecked. It allowed him to continue his reign of corruption and abuse. It's not enough to cherry pick and selectively choose which instances deserve your public condemnation and outrage. You have to do what's right every single time, even when it's not convenient and when it's unpopular. The latest abuse of power cannot go unchallenged. It is too serious to hide behind anonymous sources. Over the last month, we have seen many brave people step forward to tell their stories of threats, intimidation by this corrupt Cuomo administration. County Executive Adam Bello needs to come forward and speak the truth. He needs to address the media, not hide behind a statement. He must tell the people of Monroe County if he was one of the recipients of these abusive phone calls from Larry Schwartz. Because there's only 2 sides in dealing with this Cuomo corruption. You're either fighting to expose it or you're complicit in it. People have a right to know. And they have a right to know and have a right to have their county executive stand up on their behalf and say, this is not okay. Do not politicize the vaccine process. Andrew Cuomo is morally depraved. This latest incident proves something without a shadow of a doubt. He's humanly incapable of remorse. His entire administration is on fire in multiple scandals right now, and he's doubling down on corruption. He's a menace to New York, and he's wholly unfit to serve, and that's why I've called for this governor's impeachment time and again. Long before we even knew of a sexual harassment scandal, Republicans in New York were calling for this governor's impeachment for the cover-up and the obstruction of justice associated with the 15,000 nursing home deaths, so that the governor could profit from a lousy book contract. But since Democrats in the legislature are dragging their feet on impeaching him, we must take measures to protect New Yorkers from him. And that's why today I'm calling on President Joe Biden to distribute the federal vaccines directly through county governments. Bypass Cuomo. He cannot be trusted if he's politicizing the vaccination process. Get them directly to the counties who have been better equipped from the very beginning to do this job, to handle the inoculations. These previous vaccines cannot be held hostage in Cuomo's sick and desperate attempt to cling to power. There are no lengths that he won't go to in these times are too serious to entrust our public health and our economic recovery with someone who has zero compunction. New Yorkers are watching this right now. They're watching our lieutenant governor and asking her, what did you know and what has your role been in this administration? If the governor were to resign, Kathy Hochul becomes the governor. She won't answer questions. She has been silent since February 12th. And we also, I don't just ask this question today because I know some of your stations will share this information with statewide network affiliates. And it's important that we ask all Democrat county executives, because those are the anonymous sources to the New York Times and the Washington Post. Whether you're Steve Ballone in Suffolk County or Mark Polencars in Erie County or Dan McCoy in Albany County, have you been threatened? Have you had your arm twisted behind your back? Are you worried about the vaccine distribution in your county if you don't stand tall and proud with Andrew Cuomo in his moment of peril? These are the questions that need to be asked of those elected officials, including Mr. Bello and including other Democratic county executives around the state of New York. These measures are too important. Lives are truly on the line. Andrew Cuomo did not protect the most vulnerable, and we have no reason to believe that he won't play games with our local governments, as he's done time and again, in order to hold on and cling to the power that he holds. So I'll take any media questions at this time. Well, I think that there are a few high-profile Democratic county executives. Adam Bello is one of those. He's the first one that came to my mind, and I think it's important for the people of Monroe County and Rochester to ask tough questions of this county executive who has, time and again avoided controversial topics. I think he's been someone that has, in fact, run from them in many cases. So I think it is very important that he speak. He should speak on camera today and tell us exactly what the nature of his thoughts are on everything going around the Andrew Cuomo administration, and not just pick and choose those issues that he sees fit. But our county executives are the front lines, and our county governments, for those counties that don't have executives, are the front lines of our emergency responses. They have to work hand in hand with New York State government, and if you have an important statewide official that is threatening, even if it's a veiled threat, that's a very serious situation. And Adam Bello and every other Democratic county executive, some of which have filed reports of state ethics and have become anonymous sources to the New York Times and the Washington Post, they need to come forward today. I mean, this isn't the time for anonymous sources. I mean, there's a legitimate discussion in our capital of the impeachment of our governor. It's not time for whispers. It's time to stand up and be on the record that you will stand for your taxpayers that elected you to represent them. You won't be intimidated by a corrupt dictator.
Hey, Nick, the county executive says he was called by Larry Schwartz a couple of Sundays ago. The day after he called for an investigation, he says that was the That was it for the conversation, and today he says he's called for the governor's resignation. So what more do you want?
Well, I hadn't read that he had ever called for the governor's resignation. Had he done that?
It's in his statement today.
Today, so he's now called for his resignation. So I'm glad that we could get an answer out of the county executive. So I guess my work here has been fruitful. But I still think he should answer questions in the media directly. I think you have too many politicians. And last week I called on Kathy Hochul to speak up because, you know, here's someone that's kind of like Chuck Schumer Jr. You don't want to be between Kathy Hochul and a camera. And what do you have in reality? Someone that's now hiding on Zooms with no questions, not addressing the media, and that's not okay. You know, it is important in these times of crisis that we hear from people in power, especially someone that's a heartbeat away from being governor at all times. But right now, with the governor on the thinnest of thin ice, where essentially every elected official has called for the resignation, she has been silent. So I guess I applaud County Executive Bello from coming out of hiding on that important topic, but he should address your questions as well and should allow you to ask him those tough questions. Anyone else have anything to say? All right, thank you very much for being here today.